This is just a little forward for our podcast. It's our first one, so bear with us. We had a lot of fun. We hope you have fun listening to it. If you guys have any thoughts, any ideas, you can go ahead and email us at playingwithballspodcast@gmail.com.
Visit us on Twitter at PWB Podcast.
And I believe we actually also have a Facebook, and that is facebook.com/playingwithballs.
So this is the Playing with Balls Podcast, Episode 1. Enjoy.
All right. Welcome to the first ever Playing with Balls podcast. Baseball chit-chat going on here. We are Game 3 of the 2014 World Series.
Did you say we're at Game 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm just going to pretend that that's happening
Yes.
at 11:30 at night. No, so this is the first ever. We just watched the game. We've been planning this, for a while. We've been talking about doing it.
Probably at least
and then
3 or 4 hours. We've been planning this.
Overall, this podcast here. We've been planning it for a couple of years, and we're too lazy to do a podcast, so here it is now.
So this is the only one that we're ever doing, everybody.
There's not going to be a second episode.
No.
Yeah.
Okay,
so all right.
So pay no attention tonight.
Yeah. No, it'll get better. Hopefully. We'll see though. All right. So I guess I should do some intros.
Yeah. Bring it on.
All right. It's going to be simple because there's only me and you.
That's true. It's not going to be too difficult.
Right.
So I'm awesome.
Yes, but also his name is Chris.
Yes. And you are Steve.
I believe yes. That's what the name tag says.
And you're wearing a Bill Murray shirt.
Yep.
And you have a giant beard.
I don't think they need to know that though.
Maybe.
Does that help the experience?
Probably.
Okay, Chris is wearing I don't know, is that fucking purple?
I'm going to go with burgundy on that one.
Okay, so it's burgundy, a burgundy V-neck.
Yes.
And he's got some 70s chest hair coming out of that bad boy.
Yes.
So it looks kind of like my beard, but growing from his chest.
Right.
So that's probably the best way to start off
a baseball podcast.
Yeah. Right?
Okay, perfect.
Well, good. Good thing we got everybody on the same page as us.
So I was thinking, now that we've fully shown our credibility,
yes,
we should throw a stat out there of why we are credible for this. And
I'd like to hear this.
The only thing I could think of is we're the last 2 champions of our fantasy baseball league.
Oh, you're right.
Between 6 teams and family and friends who know nothing else about baseball. So congratulations to us on that one.
I believe 2 years ago you were the winner.
Yes.
And I believe you faced my cousin, an auto-drafted team, in the finals.
Yes.
Actually, didn't you rock an auto-draft team last year?
I think I've done an auto-draft all but 1 year out of maybe 4 or 5 years that we've done this so far.
Dick.
I know how to line them up, man. That's
No, so this year I won and I beat the reigning champion. So that's where our baseball credibility starts and ends.
Yeah.
No, I mean we've played since we were kids, and we screwed around in high school with
we were
baseball action.
Great wiffle ball players.
Oh, I can still throw a mean wiffle pitch.
Yeah, that needs to happen actually.
Okay, let's discuss that after this.
I think we should do it right now.
All right, well, let's plan it.
Get a wiffle ball game together
at 4:15 p.m. We
yes.
will have.
What's with you on 4:15?
I don't know. Thanks for picking that up.
That's all you can talk about today.
That's my new number, 4:15. 5 minutes from 4:20. This is Drive Time Live. We'll ignore that part. All right.
So.
Yes, started off with a snake noise.
So we just watched Game 3.
Yes.
Royals are now up 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
You just happen to be a Giants fan.
Well, it's not that
You're a baseball fan.
I'm absolutely.
But if you have to root for a team, it's the Giants.
Yeah, we can do little sports or baseball history with ourselves and our teams, right?
Yeah,
we can kind of start that off. That's better than information than chest hair and a beard.
It's, I guess. I mean, chest hair is pretty good, but
yeah, it's a different podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a Giants fan. I've been since I was a little kid. That oddly enough, that comes from living in Southern California with a dad who is an avid Dodgers fan.
I won't hold that against him.
Yeah, no, he's done worse. But yeah, so my dad is a Dodgers fan, and I don't know what it was about sports, and it was always fun to root against each other's team. And my favorite rivalry was always Dodgers Giants. So
nice. I just heard every podcast get turned off right then.
Did you?
Thank you for that. That was good.
Did we just lose numbers?
Even more boring than that is me being a Padres fan.
Well,
that's terrible.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that.
However, we have a common AL team
We do. Our AL team is we have
so we should tell them
Oakland Athletics.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
We are both A's fans. Kids of the 80s, I was born in 85, you're 84, and
yes. Now
I can do math. And yeah, we had the Bash Brothers. We had just baseball excitement when we were growing up.
Yeah. The team of the 2000s, or Eric Chavez.
We had our Golden Three there with our HUD dog.
How do you through tonight?
Yeah, there you go. We'll bring it back into that then.
Yeah, nice segue right there.
That's beautiful.
Good transition.
Too bad we're still talking about it.
Yes.
It would have been a really good segue if we had just gone.
That's true.
But
yeah, you don't really make mention of it.
I think we got 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Yes. So we were thinking earlier that maybe Madison Bumgarner goes out for Game 4 now that the Giants are down, but it looks like Bruce Bochy has said
it's going to be Vogie.
He's sticking with Vogelsong.
Yeah, that's it's kind of interesting. I guess he wants that veteran. I mean, it's weird to call Vogelsong a veteran, but
it is. But and Bumgarner is too. It's just the 3 days rest, I guess, is the concern there. But if anyone could do it, I would think it's Bumgarner.
Well, I mean, didn't they just go off of a 7-day rest for his last start?
Yeah, so he's
he can pull a 7 and a 3
on average. Then he's resting 4 days. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
And then you could bring him back on Game 7, 3 days rest as well if he went on Game 4. But I'm not going to question Bruce Bochy.
Yeah,
the guy knows what he's doing.
Third World Series in the last 5 years.
I think I heard you break into a little Bochy accent right there.
That was too deep.
Hey,
well, Timmy is gonna pitch for us. That was really bad. When I wasn't trying, I
no more impressions.
Okay, just cut it.
So we got Kane, Dyson, and Gordon in the outfield tonight.
Oh.
And they made some plays.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, you put Kane in right field, and it was interesting to see him there and Aoki out, because Aoki's a wild man. He is Kansas City's Hunter Pence.
He is.
And so it's always weird managerial decisions and moving those guys around. And then you've got guys like Dyson and Gore and just dudes that straight up run. But I don't know. What are they going to do with Gore? I think he's just a bench runner.
Yeah, I was just going to say no one even knows what position he plays. I mean, obviously we do, but the guy is just unbelievably fast.
Yeah, and I think that's, it was like the Reds when they first started using Billy Hamilton.
Yeah.
Before they even let him touch a glove, it was
That's right, yeah.
It was just running, and hey, if you can make a career out of that, that's not so bad.
You come up this year, and you're in the World Series, so that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get a ring just for running.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of another Kansas City rookie, Brandon Finnegan came in and made history tonight.
Yeah, he did.
He was the first player ever to go in a College World Series and a MLB World Series in the same season.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's saying something.
Yeah. I mean, he's 21 years old, and 3 months ago he was in the dorms.
Yeah,
drinking beer and.
Well, let's not start that rumor.
Well, he is 21, so. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I couldn't even imagine doing that at that age.
No, and he was on his last game of the season in Double-A. His mom was down visiting him, and he got the call that he was going to the big leagues. And now it's turned into a World Series appearance.
And a good one.
The same season he got drafted. I mean, we've had guys get drafted and go to the major leagues the same year, but to be in the College World Series and then the Major League World Series is something special.
Yeah, I just wonder, is that ever going to happen again? Is it going to happen more often now?
It might. I was surprised that he was the first. Since we have had pretty good college pitchers come out of the draft, it's that extra level of your team having to be good enough to get to the World Series.
Yeah, that's true. It's a lot of different pieces coming together for him. Maybe it's just luck. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously he's very skilled.
Yeah, it's not a fluke that he's in there. I mean, he came in after Kelvin Herrera today, so he's maybe the big four now. Add Finnegan in there.
So now you've only got 5 innings to score against the Royals.
Yeah. The starter only has to go 5, and then you get Finnegan, Herrera, Davis, and Holland.
Yeah, you're not going to do much.
And those guys, I mean, you get, I think Holland, you get 95 as your slowest fastball that you're seeing out of those.
That's his changeup.
That's his changeup. Herrera's pumped it up to about 101 a few times already. Yeah, Kansas City picked up Wade Davis in that Tampa Bay deal with James Shields.
Right.
So I think that worked out pretty well for KC at this point. Last year, maybe a little suspect when they missed the playoffs. But this year, obviously in the World Series, you got Wade Davis as probably the best reliever in the big leagues this year. Yeah. And he was kind of the afterthought in that deal. You got Shields coming over, who was good during the season.
Great, yeah.
But his big game James persona has not really.
Yeah, that's a lot to live up to. Someone gives you a name like that.
Yeah, it is. It's like a comparison, for Kershaw to Sandy Koufax or something like that. Maybe not as much for big game, but
right. But that's something you still got to play up to. And anytime you're in a situation like that and you start throwing quite outside of the strike zone, you're going to be questioning yourself and knowing you can do better, but unable to, and then just getting frustrated on the mound.
Yeah, so it should be interesting when he comes back in Game 5.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I think we'll see the real big game James.
You would hope so. I mean, for the sake of the trade, I guess, and
for the sake of him.
For the sake of him,
for his sanity. Yeah. And for the team, that is a rough thing to deal with. A Game 1, and you get lit up like that. That's got to be difficult. Obviously they came back in Game 2. Maybe there should have been some more managerial moves. I know he's big game James, but you don't have to stretch him out. I mean, bring in another guy when it's falling apart like that.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit of a reaction to what Ned Yost faced after the wild card game when he did remove James Shields.
Right.
Brought in Ventura, and Brandon Moss hit that go-ahead home run.
Yeah.
So maybe he's a little reactive to that, and he wants to stretch out James a little bit longer, and especially to get to the 7th inning when you can start bringing in that bullpen.
Yeah.
So, it's something that it'll be his last start of the year, Game 5, and we know it's against Bumgarner now. So we'll see what happens, but I think overall giving up Will Myers and Jake Odorizzi it worked out, at least for the short term here. We'll see what kind of player Myers becomes and what kind of player Odorizzi becomes.
Yeah, I mean, they caught a lot of hell for that Myers move.
Yeah, there was a lot of heat right when that went down.
Kansas City kind of lost it.
Exactly, yeah.
You're talking about a player on a team that the team specifically said, we are building this team from the ground up, and this is one of our key components. And, oh, yeah, now he's gone.
Yeah, it was a little bit of the Cubs philosophy, and
right.
Myers was one of those pieces. He was supposed to come up with Hosmer and Moustakas and all those guys, but they sent him out. Looks like he'll be a pretty good player, but I think they'd trade a World Series appearance and maybe a win for the top prospect.
Yeah, I think now, if Kansas City can look back and see where it got them, they'll take the trade all day.
Right, yeah, no question.
Yeah,
another trade they had earlier in 2010 was Zack Greinke to the Brewers.
Yeah.
And they just happened to pick up in that deal Lorenzo Cain, Alcides Escobar,
interesting,
and Jake Odorizzi, who they then flipped in that Shields deal.
Yes, so they basically got Shields in that deal as well.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Odorizzi was a piece, so they put that together and picked up Shields basically for Greinke, and you got your center fielder / right fielder Kane and your starting shortstop Alcides Escobar.
Yeah, what more could you ask for? I mean, those are guys you need. And you need
you're not at
solid
this spot
players.
without those guys.
Exactly.
Especially Kane. I mean, he's been outstanding this postseason.
Yeah, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's not like one of those guys that freaks out when he's put in right field. He's not saying, I'm a damn center fielder.
Yeah, he's
this
a team
is where
guy.
I'm supposed to be. He's
exactly.
a team player. That whole team is like that. They all are working gears that put that thing together.
Yeah, and Escobar's got a crazy arm from shortstop.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's something.
He reminds me a bit of Asdrubal Cabrera a couple of years ago when he was Captain Highlight.
Yeah.
He was the top 3 every day, and that's what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, and then he leads off the game today with that double.
That
first pitch
that almost looked like Blanco's home run. I thought that thing was going.
So, yeah, great deals, I think we would say now, looking back. I know the GM, Dayton Moore, got a lot of heat for that, both of them at the time.
Yeah.
But looks like they're working out for him now.
Yeah, how's Dayton looking now?
Yeah. I think he's got a contract extension coming.
Yeah, and a ring, maybe.
And possibly a ring, so, yeah. Good moves right there. Switching gears a little bit, we're did our postseason brackets earlier in the season.
Yeah. Oh.
Right before the playoffs started.
I think we should have started after the playoffs.
Yeah, mine's looking pretty ugly. So I had Oakland taking the wild card game.
Right.
Wrong. I had Oakland then beating Anaheim. Wrong. At least Anaheim did lose that series, though. So
yeah, I guess that's.
I'm half.
Can
I be half right on that?
Take your wins where you
can. Okay. In the other ALDS, I had Detroit beating Baltimore. Wrong. So I had Detroit versus Oakland in the ALCS.
Yeah, not even close.
And Detroit going to the World Series. So I completely failed the American League.
Didn't quite work out there.
Did not.
And National?
National League, this is my only one that I got right.
Let's see it.
I had San Francisco beating Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But then I had San Francisco losing to Washington in the NLDS. And I had LA beating St. Louis in the other ALDS, which was, of course, wrong. And then I had Washington going to the World Series. So my playoff bracket is terrible.
Yeah, so who does that put in the World Series for you?
I had Detroit and Washington. With Washington winning.
Okay. Well, here's mine. I think I got a couple more right, but definitely still missed it. All right, so for the American League wild card, surprisingly, I actually picked Kansas City. I picked Kansas City beating Anaheim. And in the other part of the DS, I had the Orioles winning.
Wow, so you had the ALCS pick.
I had the AL figured out.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, NL not so much.
Well, who did you have going from the ALCS?
That would be Kansas City.
So you had them in the World Series.
Yes. I
Wow.
know.
You and very few other people.
Well, I think it's one of those, I believe they can do it, and it probably has a lot to do with the fact that the last time they won was the year I was born.
Okay, so a little superstition maybe.
So it's clearly all about me.
That's right. You're the reason they are in the World Series right now.
Thank you, Steve. You're welcome.
Your thank you notes
Kansas
in the mail.
City.
Yes.
And okay, so
oh, and welcome our guest George Brett. Here he comes.
Yeah. You're welcome.
You're welcome,
sir.
Yeah.
I'll just take the handshake. So in the National League wild card, I had San Francisco losing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a San Francisco fan, and I had them losing. I know. I thought the Pirates' bats were going to come alive. Well, they did not.
They didn't, probably because they got Bumgarner.
Yeah.
That tends to shut down anything.
That will shut it down. So from that DS, I had Pittsburgh obviously going against the Nationals, and I had the Nationals winning. Other part of the DS, I had the Dodgers beating the Cardinals. So that puts my CS as Washington versus the Dodgers.
Exactly what I had.
And Washington winning.
Okay, so we had the same. And your World Series?
So my World Series is Kansas City, Washington.
Washington winning?
Washington winning.
Okay, so we both had Washington winning.
So we were both.
At least you got KC there.
I got one. Yeah, my AL turned out good. NL not so much. But yeah, I had Washington winning. I thought they had it this year.
Yeah, they've been the team of hype for the last few seasons and just haven't put it together yet.
It just seems like they have all the right parts.
Yeah, they do. I mean, you got the offense, the pitching coming together at the right time.
They got the right pieces
decent.
Exactly.
Yep.
The bullpen. It's not the greatest bullpen, but it's perfect situationally for how they play.
Right.
And I obviously, clearly, I had them winning the World Series.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us.
You did too. I wonder how many just the two of us. I don't know.
I guess only us two thought that they would go, but.
So, neither of us are going to get this right this year. Clearly.
No.
I guess I can get close with having.
Yeah, I salute
Kansas
you
City.
for putting Kansas City in there. That was a good pick.
Yeah, I didn't have any money riding on it, so it wasn't too difficult.
That's right.
Had I had money, may have been different. I gotta be honest.
So we have two wild card teams in the World Series this year. Obviously, both San Francisco and Kansas City.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very often, but the idea a few years ago when they implemented the wild card play-in games was that it would be a little bit more difficult for the wild card winner to make it to the World Series.
Right.
This year, I mean, the scheduling, it maybe didn't affect those teams as much as the idea that it should. You obviously want to win the division and be the best team in that division. But you have a full day off between the season and the first wild card game. The second wild card game's a day later. I mean, is there really enough to disqualify, for lack of a better word, I guess, the wild card teams?
No, I don't. They didn't do their part during the season. I think that's the most important thing is you need to be number one if you want to make it to the World Series. Those teams, the wild card teams were supposed to be punished, I believe was a term they used.
Right.
But I don't know that if that's what their idea was of punishment, that worked as punishment, because clearly that's the two teams we have in the World Series.
Yeah, you have a ton of days off in the playoffs, I get you have travel days and things like that, but I don't see any reason why you can't double up on wild card games on that Tuesday.
Yeah.
Play them both that day. You can start the other two series on Wednesday and wait for the wild card teams to play Thursday, 2 days later. There's just really a lot of time off, and I know, you have to wait to see if Game 7s happen, Game 5s happen, but something needs to be done with the playoff scheduling, I think, especially as it relates to wildcard teams and the idea of the punishment, like you said, because you get Bumgarner throwing the wildcard game, and then I believe he came back in Game 2 of the DS, if not Game 3, then, it's still, you have him in that game that means a lot. And then you have the other teams sitting around who won the division waiting while the wildcard teams are playing. Right. And we know in baseball waiting doesn't serve you well, which is why I thought the Royals would have a tough time in this World Series because they had a little longer wait than the Giants did. But I guess they're a team where it doesn't really affect the speed. Maybe the bats slow down a little bit, but Game 2 they put up 7 runs, so... But I think overall history has shown that as long as bats are sitting, you're going to come back and then have to face someone's top pitchers, and it doesn't bode well for waiting in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole idea of making it more difficult on the wildcard teams, I think did the exact opposite for the teams that were in the DS, with them having to wait even longer as well.
Yeah, because you can do simulated games and bring up some AAA guys or have your starting pitchers do side sessions, but it's still not game action.
No, absolutely not.
So it just makes it tough for the division winners when the wildcard teams are playing and they're just sitting around waiting.
There's too much time in between all of that. But there's one part of that I do like in like a 7 game is them doing 2 at one stadium, then 3, then 2. I think they got that right. So breaking up after 2 and then breaking up after 3, it's a little... It's only 1 day.
Right.
It's not the 7-day, 4-day lull, It's... What are you supposed to do during that? You can only practice so much. And you never are going to play as hard in practice as you are in a real game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something baseball's going to have to figure out. Switching gears here, we got a little breaking news today. Joe Maddon opted out of his contract.
It's surprising.
To say the least, right?
To say the least. Yeah, I thought he was a great match there. With the general managers and baseball player operations changing hands, who knows?
Maybe less surprising.
Maybe, yeah, I'd say it's less surprising with those circumstances, but I still feel like he was the guy for that spot.
Yeah, he's quirky enough to run a small market team. Mm-hmm. But who knows? Maybe the uncertainty with that front office, he's ready to make that change, and it sounds like he's got some things in the works already. The Dodgers have been put out there, the Mets, the Cubs. Ken Rosenthal has already shut down the idea of the Dodgers.
Okay.
Where Friedman went, obviously.
Which would seem like the likely place.
It would seem like if he and then Andrew Friedman, the former GM of Tampa Bay, who's now the president over at the Dodgers, maybe they have a good relationship, and that was part of the plan all along, is to bring Maddon in. But Donnie Mattingly has already had a good faith. He's got a contract for next season, and they've said that they want him there. So, probably won't look really good to go back on your word.
No, absolutely not. And Donnie Baseball is, I think, great for LA. He actually, I think he makes LA a little more likable, and he's a gamer. Donnie Baseball, he is the guy to work those pieces, those big time veterans, the Crawford, Kent, Adrian Gonzalez, and be able to use guys like Puig,
Yep.
Jock Peterson,
Yep.
and then use someone that probably no one saw being as a resourceful piece, and that's Justin Turner.
Yeah.
He came alive at the end of that season, and I think Donnie's got to be commended for that.
Yeah, he's a great personality manager, and he's very even keel. So all the crap that gets put out in the LA media, he can handle that pretty well.
Yeah, definitely cooler heads prevail there.
Yes,
he's the. I think he's the right face for them, the right man for the job.
Right. So that leaves Maddon definitely out of LA.
It does.
So we have one managerial opening in Major League Baseball right now, which is the Twins. I don't know that Maddon ends up in Minnesota.
But if you think about what we were talking about earlier, is that Maddon is a great small market manager.
He is. But Minnesota?
What's more small market than that?
It is small market.
San Diego?
Yeah, San Diego, small market.
Actually, you know what? Maddon will probably do pretty well in San Diego.
I think he would do well anywhere.
That's
it's just
true.
about finding the opening in the position for him. New York Mets. They obviously have Terry Collins in there right now. And maybe not quite the upside as the Twins and Cubs do. I know they got a ton of pitching, but I don't really see Maddon going from Tampa straight into a big market, and the Mets specifically. But the Cubs were another team that has been floated around.
I think that would be a good one. I like the idea of him with the Cubs because that is a great team that is being built that needs someone to manage.
Yeah, and he's used to working with the sabermetric-minded guys like Theo has there. And yeah, with the young guys, the only problem is you have Rick Renteria, the current manager there. Where does he go?
Right. Do you toss Renteria aside because he doesn't have the years coaching that Maddon does? Do you throw him to Minnesota?
Are you requesting a trade here to Minnesota? You could.
Yes, let's make a trade. A pitcher for a manager. No, I think they could, but I don't think they will.
They should.
They should, absolutely. I don't see why not. Maybe they want to trade fan bases also. Can you do that?
Possibly, yeah. We'll get on that and find out.
Okay.
We'll send the Cubs fans to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll find that out.
I don't know. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where Maddon ends up.
It will be good. No matter where he ends up.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless he doesn't end up anywhere and maybe ends up college.
Or on a boat fishing somewhere.
Or he takes a year off like Terry did. And
possible. He'd be great in the broadcast booth.
Oh, you know what? That might be who we need. He's going to be right next
right
to
here.
us. Yeah.
Yes,
he's going to be the third
studio
microphone
here. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So, Maddon.
Make that call.
We're bringing you in, bud.
Joe, we need you.
Yeah, you need to save this sinking ship.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So the last thing that we want to do, maybe not every podcast, but every now and then, is take a look at current players and recently retired players who may have a case for the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Or even if they don't have a case, we'll look and decide.
Maybe we'll make
no
a case.
Chance. Yeah, we'll make a case for it.
For
so the first two,
mm-hmm.
both recently retired. One officially, one says he's going to retire. Adam Dunn, Paul Konerko.
Yes.
So let me throw some stats at you.
Ooh, let's hear it.
This will be Adam Dunn here.
Okay.
So Mr. Dunn has how many home runs? 462 career home runs. He hit 237. But his on-base percentage, 364, 490 slugging, 854 OPS, 1,168 RBI, 63 stolen bases. Not bad for a big man.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Maybe those are Billy Butler numbers in the future.
There you go. He led the league in walks twice. Obviously, we know about his ability to strike out.
Yes, leading the league in strikeouts and walks.
Yes. So, Adam Dunn, interesting case, right?
I think he is one of those guys that we're going to have to look at as, do we put in players that are designated hitters or players that became designated hitters?
Yeah, and Dunn played the field quite a bit, but definitely in the later part of his career, he was DH. I think, for me, Edgar Martinez has to break that ground first.
I think he'll be the one. Yeah.
Maybe David Ortiz has a case at the best DH ever, but for me, it's Edgar Martinez still.
Yes.
If you have that as a position in baseball, it should be recognized in the Hall of Fame. You can't have people say, well, he didn't play in the field. We have a DH, so we have to say, hey, DHs can go into the Hall of Fame too. So Edgar, for me, is a guy who gets in. For some people, even considering Adam Dunn might be a little strange. But Jason Stark had an article his articles are great, and he pulls out different stats for different players.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't necessarily a Hall of Fame article. It was just the interesting and one-of-a-kind career that Dunn had.
Right.
So just taking a look at home runs here, Dunn is ahead of guys like Carl Yastrzemski, Andre Dawson, Cal Ripken, Billy Williams, Duke Snyder, Al Kaline, Johnny Bench, Jim Rice. Not a bad list, right?
No, that's a good list to be on.
And those are definite surefire Hall of Fame guys. Maybe they didn't strike out as much, but very impressive list.
See, when I think of a Hall of Fame, I think of players that you mentioned. I think of Yastrzemski, and that's someone that we'll still talk about for years.
Right.
Because of the career he had. You think 50 years from now we're going to be talking about Adam Dunn?
I think so, because he was so different of a career. Going back to that Stark article, Adam Dunn, over 50% of the time, the other team didn't even need to be on the field.
Really?
He either walked or struck out or hit a home run.
That is an interesting stat.
Over 50% of the time, you didn't need any fielders, just pitcher and catcher.
Okay, that's impressive. I don't know what kind of stat that is, but I like it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not maybe your run-of-the-mill stat, but it's something that is definitely interesting, and there are only 4 other players to do that. Jim Thome, Barry Bonds, Reggie Jackson, and Ricky Henderson.
Okay, that would make sense.
So,
yeah.
Obviously, Thome is somebody that we may want to talk about in the future as well.
I believe so. But does interesting get you into the Hall of Fame? That's an interesting stat, but is that what's going to be under his plaque?
Interesting career?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, the Hall of Fame tells a story.
It's an interesting story, and I think it's one, obviously, guys like you and I will talk about, but is it Hall of Fame worthy? We'll see.
We will see. A couple other things. Dunn had 5 seasons in a row of 40 or more home runs.
Yes.
And 4 of those were exactly 40.
Wow. And he did that 5 times in a row?
5 seasons of 40 or more in a row, 6 total, and 4 straight, 40 exactly.
That's impressive.
That is quite impressive.
That is one of those interesting facts.
Another interesting fact here, 6 straight seasons of 38 or more home runs and 100 or more walks.
Wow.
He's the only guy in history to ever do that.
That's a lot of walks.
Yes. And that same stretch when he did that, he had a total of 244 home runs and 673 walks.
Wow.
The only other guys who did anything close to that are Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds,
I've heard of them.
Mark McGwire,
Mm-hmm.
Jim Thome, Mickey Mantle, and Ralph Kiner.
Wow, you know what? That's another impressive list, and it's another list that Tommy's on.
Yeah.
So I think that we're going to have to talk about him next time.
Nice little segue into that next Hall of Fame conversation.
Into next time's conversation.
Exactly.
If there is one.
And you want another interesting fact?
I would love it.
There were parts of 3 consecutive seasons where he did not have a single sacrifice fly.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that is weird.
Over 1,000 plate appearances without a sac fly.
Is that because no one was on for him? Or just he was hitting him out, striking him out, and getting on?
That's exactly it.
Wow.
He either struck out, hit it out of the ballpark, or he walked.
That's a career.
That's a nice career.
Yeah. That's just past interesting into a good career.
Yes.
So I guess he's one of those guys you got to consider. You know, he's going to be one of those ones that is talked about for a while. Obviously won't be first year.
Definitely not first year.
How long do they let it go, though?
10 years now. So maybe he gets in on account of being interesting.
Well, who knows? you know, they seem to bring in new stats every year. They're going to find some little nugget and make him, you know, the greatest ball player of all time just by a silly stat.
He was the king of walks, and in this day and age, getting on base is the king of all stats.
That is the truth. So, because of that, would he be one of the higher on-base percentage guys?
Possibly, yeah. Let's see. He's 364 in his career.
Mm-hmm. That's way up there.
It's pretty good.
That's not bad. That's one of those stats that he should use as on his Hall of Fame ballot.
Yeah, so he's ahead of
Home
Run Baker, Joe Medwick, Ron Santo, Bobby Dorr, Pie Traynor, Billy Williams, Willie Stargell, Kirby Puckett, Eddie Murray. So plenty of good names below him on that list too.
So he's one of those guys that kind of just sneaks in there. And
he just had a really consistent career, whether it was walks, strikeouts, home runs, whatever it was, he was consistent.
It was consistent.
And he just did it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately this year he ended in the wild card game. So he can say he made it to the playoffs, but it was only one game.
Yeah, and he wasn't even utilized in that wild card game.
He wasn't, oddly enough. Yeah.
I think they should have let him get at least one at-bat.
Yeah, I mean, you probably definitely could have used him during that game.
I believe they needed him that game.
So maybe that hurts him too, the lack of playoff appearances.
Yeah, do you think that the stat fellas in Oakland were the reason that Dunner was there? They saw those on-base percentages and...
I would have to think so, definitely, yeah.
But then to not be used...
Yeah, I mean, this year a down year, but
so
he still had that pop.
Yeah, let me ask you this. With how his career is ending, last couple of years, do you think that kind of ruins how people look at him before that? Say Jeter this year hit like 108.
Yeah, for Jeter, if he hit 108, you would say he hung on too long. I think he was just at the border of getting out when he should have. Mm-hmm. And I think Dunn was too. Maybe we'd like to see him stick around and hit 500 bombs, but
yeah,
that's not an automatic number necessarily anymore.
No, that's true.
Obviously, you see Bonds sitting out, but that's with certain circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Dunn's just a guy. He's would rather hang out maybe baseball's not in his blood.
I think baseball's in his blood. I think he's coach material.
I can see that. Yeah, he does have coach written on him. So
Yeah, especially seeing him in that Oakland uniform, not playing. At the bench, sitting at the fence right there with the players. He looked like a coach. And I think he carries himself like one. But I think that comes with being a veteran of the game for so many years.
Yeah, that's a good call. I can see Dunn in a dugout as a manager one of these days.
You see McGuire now.
Yeah, exactly.
And Giambi, who is a player,
player / coach,
but he's more of a hitting coach, and I think we could see Dunn in that sort of role.
So good call. Watch out, Joe Maddon. Adam Dunn's coming for your job. Paul Konerko is next up.
Okay, Konerko, nice.
Let's get a wrap on Dunn first. Hall of Fame for you?
Oh, after hearing all those stats you threw at me, I'm loving that on base percentage. I'm loving all those walks. That's why not?
Why not? That's going to convince your voters. Why not?
Yeah, that wasn't really a yes, was it? Yeah, yes. Is what I'm trying to say.
For me, I think he is a Hall of Famer.
But will he get in?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he'll get in.
He should be.
I think he should be.
There's a lot of guys that should be.
That's true. There are a ton of guys who should be.
But that would make this podcast a lot longer if we talked about that.
Well, maybe there aren't a ton of guys, but there are some guys who are missing
plenty.
from it. Okay, so Mr. Konerko, we got 439 career homers, 1,412 RBI. He's at 921 walks, 279 career average, 354 on base, 486 slugging, 841 OPS.
Those are good stats.
They're good.
I would take those.
Let's take a look at him versus Adam Dunn.
Okay, yeah.
Side by side?
Well, let's do it. They might end up on the same ballot, so I guess
if you're comparing one to the other, right?
Yeah, you only get a certain amount of votes. I don't know.
So you've got Dunn at 462 homers, Konerko's 439.
Mm-hmm.
So advantage Dunn. Konerko's got more RBI, 1,412 to Dunn's 1,168.
I think Dunn's hurt by the teams he was on.
He was with Cincinnati for a while when they weren't good, obviously, since he never made the playoffs with them. Then you go to Washington for a season, and then Chicago White Sox.
Yeah.
Washington for 2 seasons, I'm sorry.
I just think the fact that, it's probably hard to get RBIs with no one on base.
That makes it difficult, doesn't
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thought to think about.
Oh, great. That's our next topic here.
It is.
So walks, we got Dunn at 1,317. Konerko's at 921.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Konerko leading in average 279 to 237.
Right.
Dunn's got Paulie on base 364 to 354.
It's not too bad.
Not bad. Slugging for Dunn is 490 versus 486 for Konerko.
It's pretty close.
OPS for Dunn is 854 and 841 for Konerko. So very similar careers. Konerko played for 4.5 seasons more than Dunn did. And Dunn looks to have a better career still.
Wow. So who would you have as your, say, first baseman? If you could only choose one of those guys, who would you take?
In both their primes?
Yeah, we'll say in their primes as opposed to right now.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Because obviously Paul Konerko was so respected.
Mm-hmm.
But when we decided these two guys to compare, I said yes to Dunn in the Hall of Fame and no to Konerko.
Interesting.
Konerko for me goes in the Hall of Very Good. You know, he's just one of those guys who barely misses.
Really? Okay.
But Dunn was in for the uniqueness of his career.
Yes, the quote-unquote interesting career.
Exactly.
Yeah, that it's interesting that you have them together on this because of a very similar career. I'd say Dunn has him obviously with the walks, but Konerko's got all those RBIs. That's a lot of RBIs.
So you're saying he had guys on base?
He had
to
guys.
drive in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
it
how it
seems
works.
like that's how that works out.
Okay.
Which I guess is more of a stat about the team than the player.
It is.
Or
Yeah,
it's-
RBI is a more of a team stat, but if you buy into guys being clutch,
right.
in quotes, maybe Konerko is.
So does that make him Hall of Fame worthy for being clutch?
Maybe. It depends the spots he's in. But again, how do you judge clutch and how do you know exactly which situations he was in?
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be a stat for that. Yeah, I mean, Dunn can go in for being interesting and Konerko can go in for being clutch.
Okay.
I don't know if that was a statement or a question.
It sounded more like I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I don't either.
Konerko had 6 All-Star appearances to Dunn's 2.
I think he was snubbed. 2, that's bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was in there twice.
Let's see. What do we have Silver Slugger-wise? Do you want me to put you on the spot like that?
Yeah, I don't have that
I
for
could
you.
probably fill a couple seconds while you pull it up.
MVP voting.
Mm-hmm.
Konerko appeared on the ballot 5 times.
Okay.
Dunn 3.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Dunn was 4th in Rookie of the Year voting. And Konerko not at all.
Okay, so what year was Dunn a rookie? They're considering the first full year.
First full year,
Okay.
yeah. It's
That would make
2001.
2001. Wow. I know that doesn't seem like that long ago, but I didn't realize he was in the league that long.
Yeah. I
Who knows?
remember him in the Futures game hitting a couple of bombs.
Do you really?
Yeah.
You can
And
remember that far back?
Now that his career's over, seems
That's
really fast that happened.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And he's only 34 right now.
Really?
So if he wanted to, he hit 22 homers this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not out of the question he comes back for 2 more seasons and gets to 500. But again,
He's gonna Brett Favre himself out of retirement.
Yeah. Does he want to hang on just to compile stats, or does he really love the game and want to stick around?
I think if he loves the game like you and I kind of assume he does, he'll come back, but as a coach. He's done playing.
Done playing.
Done.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, it wasn't on purpose the first time. But
so
maybe we have a future Hall of Famers home run derby to see who gets in. That's how I'm gonna do
a
it.
swing off for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
One more effort.
Yes.
To sway the voters.
And then Josh Hamilton can be in it.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be in our conversations.
Sorry, Josh.
Sorry, Josh, but
yeah, I'm looking at some career highlights and awards, and I'm not seeing any Gold Gloves, and I'm not seeing any Silver Sluggers for Konerko. And that surprises me.
Yeah, you would think there would be a Silver Slugger too in there. Also, not a bad fielder. So,
yeah, I mean, he was the captain of the White Sox, but yeah, no, I'm really surprised. I thought he was kind of better than that. I assumed silver.
Ouch.
Statistically, is that how you Is that how you get away with saying mean things about people?
Yeah, statistically,
Well,
I
statistically.
figured he was a little bit better.
Well, okay, so Dunn didn't have a Gold Glove. I guess you wouldn't expect him to, but also no Silver Slugger.
Yeah, so they're going pretty much stat for stat.
Yeah.
And like I said, Dunn, yes for me. Paul, no.
I say if I'm gonna let Dunn in, I'm gonna let him in, like he didn't earn it. I'm also gonna let Konerko in.
Okay.
Because
So you got them both.
I'd say their careers, parts of it, are mirrored, and how do you let one in and not the other?
Fair argument.
Yeah, was that a good one?
And we'll end on that.
Okay. I thought we were gonna do the thought to think about.
We do have a thought to think about.
It's a wonderful phrase.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Certain
special
baseball
announcer.
guy that we won't mention by name. Yeah.
So, what's your thought to think about?
Okay, sir. It's I was doing some digging.
Okay.
I thought, you know what? I'm gonna pull up some stats, and I'm gonna see if you, my good friend, Mr. Baseball over here, can figure out just by stats, just by team. I want to see if you can guess the player. You want me to read these stats to you, or do you want to pull them up? Well, if you pull them up, you'll see who it is. So I'll read the stats to you.
Yes, let's do that.
All right, I'm going to read the stats. This player debuted September 20th, 1998, for the Detroit Tigers. Their last appearance was August 14th, 2010, for the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm going to throw some... do you want to hear the teams first or the stats?
Let's go with the stats.
Okay, here's your stats. Career batting average of 268. Career home runs of 82. Career RBIs of 386.
That could be anybody.
It could be a great number of people.
So let's go with the teams.
Okay, so obviously he started with the Tigers. He went to the Rangers after that. Then to the Rockies. To the Boston Red Sox, of which he won the World Series with.
Okay.
He went to Yomiuri, I believe, part of the season. Came back to Boston. Went to Milwaukee for a year. And then to Tampa Bay. So, what do you think?
So he won the World Series.
2004, yeah.
In 2004.
So you got to think about those kind of guys that have... One of those guys that's been on a few teams, you know?
So the 04 Red Sox.
Yes.
You've got Kevin Millar, obviously, was on a few teams.
He was.
But not Detroit.
No.
You've got... Who else? Mark Bellhorn, Bill Miller were on that team. I believe neither of them played for the Tigers.
Would it help if I told you what stance he used? If he was a righty or lefty?
Possibly.
Okay, so he was right-handed.
Right-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So there's your clue. So you get to kick all those left fielders out of your head. Left fielders.
Was that a slip-up?
Yes, it was. Maybe not on accident. Maybe on purpose. Who knows?
Okay.
Left-handed batters out of your head. Okay.
So I'm gonna say he's an outfielder.
That was a slip-up, and yes.
And it was not Johnny Damon since he was left-handed.
No, it was not. Now I'm going to say you've likely heard from him recently.
Okay.
Or heard about him recently. I don't know if that helped at all.
Probably not. I've heard about a lot of people.
Yeah, he's the one guy you have to remember, though.
Okay.
That's why I'm doing this to you. I think, honestly, it would surprise a few people.
Yeah.
I'll let you in on the fact that he is a California native.
Okay.
I do believe he played for Cal State Fullerton.
Okay.
I should probably look that up, but I don't think I'm going to. He is very well known for not having much of a baseball body, but not in the sense that most people would think.
So he's not Prince Fielder.
Yeah. Sorry, Prince.
I mean,
yeah. No. Absolutely, he is ripped.
Ripped.
I'm talking jacked.
Okay.
Yeah. That might have given it away, huh?
It probably did.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Gabe Kapler.
You were right.
That dude is enormous.
He is buff.
Yes. And we sound a little bit
but
loving of Gabe Kapler.
We love Gabe Kapler.
Kapler.
Gabe. He gave us love.
Yes.
He is one of those guys I think you don't it took you a while to get to him.
Yeah, I don't think he's not the first guy top of mind from the 04 Red Sox team.
Well, no. I'm sure most people go Ortiz.
And usually guys who bounce around like he did, you don't.
It's hard.
Usually
to
aren't
think
top
about
of
their
mind.
Career.
Yeah,
that's there's not a lot of guys that have gone from team to team that are talked about, other than the fact that they've gone from team to team.
Okay, yeah, and he played 12 seasons in the major leagues, so
he's a 6'2" big boy, man. That's the kind of ball player you want, right?
He was a gamer, hard knock kind of guy.
Yeah,
and he showed up to the park and got it done.
Who do you think we'll be talking about in the same regard we're talking about Kapler that's playing now? Someone that hung in there, always played hard, but didn't quite get the recognition, maybe because they kept getting sent to different teams.
Grady Sizemore comes to mind.
Yes.
Just because all the injuries that he's had.
He is... It's sad because that guy could have had an incredible career.
Yeah, at this point, maybe he ended up on our Hall of Fame debate, but, the last few seasons, he's just been hammered with injuries.
It's sad that we almost see Tulo in that same sense now.
Yeah, Tulo's putting up half seasons or 3/4 of seasons that are amazing, but it's 75% of what he could be doing.
Yeah, and the team suffers.
Yeah.
So I really don't know who that other Gabe Kapler will be.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my big
thought to think about.
Excellent. But yeah, I think we can probably leave you to go enjoy some stats on Wikipedia.
Thank you.
Because you'll be surprised. You'll be, wow, okay, that guy did that. But maybe we can get some ideas for some other players like that. Maybe you guys can give us, I don't know, who you think is a modern Gabe Kapler.
I like that.
I didn't think I would be talking about him this much.
No.
He has a whole segment dedicated to him.
So, Gabe,
he's incredibly
join
tan.
us. Joe Maddon's booked first, but
Maddon's
Kapler's next.
Maddon's going to take over for me.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
and we'll just put Kapler in my spot, and
should be fine. Yeah.
Call it a show.
We don't have jobs anymore.
No, but we should have. What do they say? Don't quit your day job.
Don't quit your day job. Well,
hopefully we do.
Yeah. We'll definitely give this up for Maddon and Kapler.
Yeah.
That's a good duo.
I like that.
That's not bad. Maybe he does end up in the announcer booth.
Yeah, exactly.
And he ends up with Kapler. I'm throwing that out there, and it's going to happen.
All right. Well, we're just rambling on now.
Yeah. Well, I think I gotta be honest. An hour of this was rambling.
Yes.
6 minutes.
There were 6 good minutes in there.
There was 6 solid minutes.
So
we're making it worse right now too, though.
Probably a lot worse.
Yeah. So we'll save your ears and our crummy voices for another time. I believe we're gonna call this a night.
Yes. So this is Playing with Balls,
episode 1,
and hopefully not the last.
Depends on how well it is perceived, or received, or perceived.
But like we said at the beginning, it's going to get better.
One could only hope.
It can only go up.
It could probably get worse, too, though.
It probably could get worse, especially the longer that we
keep doing this.
Keep talking.
Yeah, this is gotta be the worst, possibly the best part of the show. If they skip to the end and they're just like, let's listen to these guys ramble about BS.
If you go for the first 9 minutes and then the last 5 minutes, there's absolutely nothing about baseball.
Yes, we talk
except me saying the word right then.
Right, we can reference baseball.
Yes, that sport,
that thing we're dedicating an entire podcast to.
Yes.
Well, we're trying to dedicate a podcast to. All right, let's.
So,
do we have any specific word we want to use to close it out? Like,
oh man, we should find something, right?
Should we get some more cliches in here?
Yeah.
We had cliches in the middle of the program, so I don't know. We'll throw some more at you. If Chris can find some in his head. He's thinking hard,
take it one day at a time.
Okay, life's a garden, dig it.
Life's a garden, dig it. I was thinking more baseball cliches, but
okay. I was just thinking cliches in general.
Okay.
You gotta
so throw them at me.
You gotta keep on keeping on. I don't know. I really can't think of baseball cliches.
No.
Not that would work in this instance.
So,
like in a date, you could say, "Oh yeah, he struck out," but that doesn't really work right now.
That's true.
Baseball cliches.
You can't steal first base.
It can only be handed to you. I feel like you were going to add more to that.
Sure.
So I had to finish it.
Yeah, I mean, right back to Adam Dunn. Maybe he did steal first base. That's my thought to think about for today.
Okay, I have another one, and I don't know if I should say it, but Kansas City's going to win the whole thing.
Wow, he just said it. Probably a little bit easier now that they're up 2-1.
Well, yeah. I just got to say my bracket would look a lot different if I knew how the National League wild card was going to go.
Yeah, well,
I think it would have changed things.
Should we get a do-over now?
Should we do this podcast over?
Probably.
Do we have another hour to kill?
Yeah, what is
70 minutes? That's too long.
If we could only
we're gonna
ask what people think right now, then we'll ask them.
Yeah, next time
Should we just do a whole nother hour right now on top of
next time? We should just do this live.
You're right.
With people listening.
Yes.
Live.
Yes.
That would be awful. You get to hear all the in-between takes and stuff. Did you have a cliche to end it yet?
I don't.
I'm still trying to kill time here, man.
We need something.
Well, I think we really hit this one out of the park.
Boom! There it is.
And then you end it.
And then
stop the damn thing.
Then it's done. Thank you.
There it is. You can go ahead and email us at playingwithballspodcast@gmail.com.
Visit us on Twitter at PWB Podcast.
And I believe we actually also have a Facebook, and that is facebook.com/playingwithballs.